Shalom, family. Glory be to God and blessed be the Lamb. Is there confusion? Is there confusion? Because we've been at this at least a couple of years, give or take. I mean, full blown. Okay, at least a couple of years. We had some knowledge of it at least another 8 or 9 years. Are there newcomers that are confused? Tonight we should clear things up. Let's have a recap of how all this came to be. How this came to be. How you came to be. I came to be. The situation. Me being who I am. And who am I? We're going to clear that up too. Let's clear this up. I am he whose voice of many waters. I am he who cometh with clouds. I am he who issues out of his mouth a sword that is sharp on both sides. I am the first begotten of the dead. I am the Lamb without a blemish. You get it now? Are we now fucking clear? Now, last time, and I still, man, you guys can be cruel. Last time, when I say last time, I'm talking about a few thousand years ago. When you chased the man down, hunted him down, harassed, stalked, beat, maligned, lied on, starved, and eventually executed his ass on a big ass piece of wood. I still got the holes in my feet to prove it. To this day. You didn't know that? Oh, we already got the stigmata. There is no question as to who I am, unless you're just involved in the ultimate denial. With that being said, we ain't going back on no cross. We're going to put everybody else on the cross. Now that's the plan. Unfortunately, you know, this all started back in, when I say started, the process is what I'm talking about. But you have to first understand that evil was the catalyst behind everything. Without evil, I would not be. You get what I'm saying? Without evil actions, I would not be at all. Evil is the catalyst behind the whole process that took about 7 to 8 years of waking me up. Evil act after evil act after evil act after evil act, with a lot of malice behind it. At first, I couldn't figure out why. At first, I couldn't figure out why. And then one day, I stopped trying to figure out why. It became unimportant. The motive itself became unimportant because I know that I had done no one any harm. They had basically destroyed my life completely. Blacklisted, blackballed, lost contracts, accused of theft, and worse. All in an effort to bring me down. And I'm sitting up asking myself, bring me down from where? And then that I did figure out. In this world, if you haven't paid your dues, this is their language, then you shouldn't have anything, basically. If you didn't come through the right pipeline, then you shouldn't have anything. Especially in the black community. Well, no, I take that back. It's pretty much everywhere. I had to think about that one. It's pretty much everywhere. It's throughout race, and cultures and class and genders. I guess the hate is everywhere. But understand, without that, I would have never successfully woken up. And between the devil and the angels who were trying to wake me up as the Lion of Judah, the last thing that I heard them say was the lion has been asleep too long. That was the last thing I heard the angels say. And then, voila, I woke up. And then the question became, why am I awake? Is this the right time to be awake? And if it is, what the fuck is going on this planet? They've all lost their damn minds, haven't they? They've all lost their damn minds, you see. And that's okay too. See, here's the thing. Everything that you see was created by the Father. Everything you hear, that too. Everything you might say, that too. Everything that you may think, that too. All the air you breathe, all of the water you breathe, all of the wood that took to bring these buildings into being a building, all of your health, life, and death, trees, birds. You see what I'm saying? So there's pretty much nothing that's not ours. This is one of the reasons. Oh, and we own your ass too. You see? We own you too. Don't take this the wrong way because I'm owned too. I'm just letting your asses know. You're owned. You don't belong to you. If indeed you ever did, even in man's world, most of us understand that this is true. Most of us understand that's better. Most of us understand this is true. Okay? So when one practices things like the dark arts, understand that that's of us too. Everything, all of it. What you thought that the devil thought of something that didn't originate from the Creator? No, all of it. The devil don't got no secrets. You do. Trust me. Me and the devil have no secrets. Not amongst each other at all. We have decided that at some future point, we're going to have to kill each other. That's just how that shit is. Okay? That's just how that shit is. Now, that being said, back in 2012, I filed a civil action against the city of Humble and Harris County. That's when all hell broke loose. Right about there. They hit me with everything but the kitchen sink. First, loss of jobs. Then I couldn't pay my rent right for shit. Even when we had the money, we were still evicted. They were doing shit like both the judge and the landlord is from the same fraternal organization. That's what you have to deal with. But when they did this, what they didn't expect was to draw my curiosity. So I went to looking. And down the rabbit's hole I fucking went. And it is indeed a rabbit's hole. It is indeed a rabbit's hole. And I started to notice all of the culprits throughout the civil justice system. And believe me, it's a cesspool. Ain't nothing in there real, and everything down there is interconnected, either through organization or, to be quite frank with you, sexuality or outright having sex with each other. Tonight we won't be biting our tongue for damn sure. See? And I have no problem with that. I'm a non-judgmental ass nigga. I simply don't care. I tell my brother that all the time. You have to learn not to have no level of fuck. Okay? If you can manage this, then you'll have very little to be upset with, get angry with, or fight over, or even argue over. Okay? Don't make someone else's value something that's not of value to you. But at any rate, it started about there. It started with me being followed every time I walked outside, or every time I walked outside, all of the neighbors would walk outside. I look back at it, on it, and it's crazy because I was new, okay, and I hadn't woke up yet. So, I mean, I walk outside, it might be a motherfucking helicopter in there. I shit you fucking not. I walk outside and I drive. By the time I get to the store, which is a block and a half away, there are 15 uniformed police officers in the store waiting on me. Oh man, these people crazy. They hired hitmen. This shit got dangerous. Man, listen here. Shit really got dangerous there a minute, and I got dangerous, they got dangerous. I mean, it was an all-out cat and mouse type of game, and sometimes it was hard to tell who was the cat and who was the mouse. But I remember saying to them, you don't know what you're fucking with. They didn't listen. They fucked up my whole family. I had been with the same woman for 30 years. All of a sudden, all hell broke loose. You know how they did it? By keeping constant pressure on the family as a unit. In and out of court. I mean, just a whole bunch of under constant stress. At any rate, at the beginning, the constable knocked on my door in plain clothes. And he walked in, a tall white guy, driving what looked like an old school Vega or some shit. And he walked in and he said, y'all have nice shit. And he left. And then that's when the uniformed folks came. We lost everything. Within 3 hours of our stuff being put on the curb, and he was right, we had nice shit. It had been moved within 3 hours by a moving company, which was weird. They usually leave your shit on the curb, right? They moved my shit to a storage unit, and I called them 3 hours later thinking I'm gonna pay $800-900, $1,000. No, it was $8,000 on day one. Okay, cool. Worked hard, put all that shit back. Most of it. Lose it again. Same scenario. Same fucking scenario. So at this point, spiritually, shit started picking up. This is when I have warned them again. You don't know what you're doing. Okay, you are so helping the situation that's going to turn out fucked up for you. You are literally, I'm trying to tell them this, you are helping with the angelic initiation fucking process. You really going to help it. So, around the same time, we're moving from place to place to place. Okay? We getting followed everywhere. I went through a 38-day noise campaign. 38 days of nothing but, imagine a big amplifier that speaker next door to you. We called the police at least 20 times. And they did absolutely nothing. 38 days of this. Okay? Little did they know they were waking up something that they probably should not have wanted to wake up. They just didn't understand how it was all working. But toward the end, they figured it out, but it was too late. Now, everybody involved in the initial stages of that, 9 out of 10 of them is dead. That whole street, dead. In the most horrible of ways. Nobody survived. This is what I was trying to warn them of. Okay? When you're dealing with bloodlines, you got to be careful. Oh, and at any rate, all the International Village Boulevard, dead. We talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 people. 11 people. This shit is real. It's real. Now, as I was waking up, there was a bunch of turmoil in my life. A lot. I mean, at times, I would be somewhere and not fully remember how I even got there. At times, I could lose 3 or 4 days. Like I could think it's Sunday when it's really Thursday. Okay? That's how God was dealing with me. He put my ass to sleep and do what he wanted to do with me. But the last time I begged his pardon and asked him not to do that again, that there had to be a damn better way than that. It's weird. It's weird. Because you just going through what your body remembers as a pattern. But you're not really there. You're somewhere else. But anyway, one of these somewhere else's is actually there's a few places I'm going to tell you about tonight. Okay. Let's talk about the fallen angels. You know where they are, right? They're not frolicking their ass around upon the earth. No. They're in like a dungeon that is pitch black. All except a sliver of light on a wall that seemingly doesn't, it looks like a wall, but it seems like the closer that you get to the wall, the further it moves back and the same sliver of light is still there. There's no escaping for them. So you hear them in the blackness. They mostly stay away from the little sliver of light for whatever reason. But you hear them by the dozens in the blackness. And all they do is they go from say sobbing and crying to laughing maniacally. From sobbing and crying to laughing maniacally and then pleading like they want to go home. This is their existence for all but one. One is in the middle of the desert underneath a lot of sharp jagged rocks covered by sand and hidden like that. So these things are real. There are places that there are bodies without spirit. They're kind of just there. They're neither living or dead. If you waved your hand in front of their eyes, it would be as though you weren't there. And this place holds them by the millions. This place is always sundown or twilight. It's never morning. It's never night. It's always this look of a late evening. And they all face in one direction, as if they're waiting on something. They're looking up in the sky, and they're just there by the millions. You walk through them, and it's like you're not there. There are places, realms that, for the lack of a better word, have met each other. Met each other. See, I don't want to upset anything tonight, but I want to be real too, because everything knows that ought to know what the real deal is. So when I'm speaking, I understand that I'm talking to human beings. I'm talking to rich people, poor people, black people, rich people, people in Spain, Russia, Italy, Poland. Everything hears me. That's where the voice of many waters comes in at. Everything hears me. Everything I say is a command upon Mother Nature. And that's another thing. Words have power. Words have power. And everything from this source is a command in one way or the other. That's why I'm very careful about what I say. Something I had to learn. But that was back in the gap, though. I learned that lesson. So, words have power. So as we speed along, we into 2019 or so, we back in court again. Except this time, it was different because I had learned so much. I could see the connection between the landlord and the judge. So now I'm mad. They walked in there with a ledger of all of the payments. We had a copy of a ledger that they gave us. The ledgers didn't match. And the judge looked at me, looked at them, and then act like he didn't even notice. You see how this works? We had paid the rent. In fact, they owed us money. At any rate, that was the final straw. So we separate. That's 2019, thereabouts. But it wasn't quite over that because all of 2000, well, the last 3 months of 2019, I ate nothing but beans and noodles every day. Every day. Beans and fucking noodles, man. I mean, they went all out. I look back on it and I'm not as angry as I was because at first I wanted to just kill all of them. And then I thought about it. You know, these aren't people who are poor. No, we speaking of people who make 90,000, 105,000, $120,000 a year, working for the county, working for a various city. Okay, but the thing is, everything is connected. This is what I discovered with this lawsuit, and they thought it was about money, but what was really happening is that they had been infiltrated. Because from the inside out, I learned it all. And it is an ugly game. And not only that, one must realize that there's this whole good versus evil thing going on. For real it is. It ain't no way out of it either. Ain't no way out of it. Okay? So when one thinks, it becomes like it's useless and futile to try to stop something that God has already spoken. Once he has spoken it, it is done. God is he who thinks it and it is, and who speaks it and it becomes. This is how everybody loses. If you think about that, there's no way you can win. Trust me. When you look at the essence of God, then there's no way you can win. If everything he thinks is and everything he speaks becomes, then there is no win there at all. At all. It would be an exercise in futility. And like I tell folks, when I first woke up, The world woke up with me. A few things happened. One happened slowly, but one of them quite fucking fast. When my eyes opened and I could see the spiritual world, they could instantly see me. See, I could always see it in a way, but to see it like I was seeing it allowed them to see me in a way that you can't see me physically with your eyeball. You have to conceive me. You have to perceptualize me. You can't, it doesn't work any other way. No. And they could see me. A few months after that, I would start a whole different level of bullshit. I went through spells, magic, black magic, fights between white magic and black magic, voodoo. I'm talking about cutting off a chicken head and shit, man. Just you know, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, what the fuck? And no one should think that that shit ain't real. It is in its own. Listen, like here's an example of what is reality. Looking at a cigarette pack. I leave the room and I come back and that cigarette pack is not there. But you know that you left it there. We've all had this happen at one time or the other. What's really happening? Now here's what's really happening. The magic is a shift in reality. The cigarette pack is still there. You don't see it because of the shift that they have caused. And they can only maintain it for so long. That's why eventually if you keep looking around and you come back and look and you say, God damn, it's right where I left it. Exactly. It never moved. No, you believed your eyes. Okay? Basically. It never moved. Around that same time, I would learn that there are other things upon this planet besides us and besides spirits. Now, me and the spirits, we go back a long ways. Long ways. That's one topic. And the demons is a whole nother. Okay? They're not the same thing at all. In fact, the spirit world fears the demon world. The demon world are the controllers of the spirit world, and Satan is the influencer of the demon world. It all goes like a clock. Okay? I involved myself with some shit that one shouldn't try at home. I wanted to go somewhere spiritually, and ain't but one way you can go. You have to reduce your body to the point of almost shutting the fuck down. It's dangerous. Now, how I did it, I drank alcohol and ate no food for fucking 2 goddamn days. Drank very little water. By day 3, and as my heart rate started to slow and I started to catch cramps throughout my body, I knew by then I was slowly dying. Mm-hmm. So day 4, I was all about there, and I phased out. But you phase, well, for me, it's phasing out and being conscious of you phasing out. You know what's going on. It's because I'm trying to get into a world that there's no other pathway except this one, which you have to be. I had to be dead enough physically for my body, for me to be able to leave it and go into another realm that is spiritual. All the while keep an eye on my body because these some goddamn snatching motherfuckers, man. So you have to be careful. You have to consciously be aware that you left your body there, and while you're not there, the spiritual world will make every fucking attempt to take it. Okay, so at one point, my boy say I was only breathing like one time every 30 seconds or some shit. And at this point, I told him, whatever you see, I mean, don't touch me. Just don't touch me. Now, I could see my body, and it was like a cloud over it. These are all of the spirits trying to get in it because they're aware that I'm not in it at that moment. Okay? They're very aware. So I proceed. Now, how did all this shit start? Well, I was going one direction with it, but then something happened. As I got close to being dead, a demon popped up. And where I'm from, spiritually, that's a no-no. It's not the idea that he popped up, it was the idea that he looked at me. Now it's a problem. Now it's a problem. You don't get to look at me. So, into that world we went, battle. The shit got so raw that I came back to consciousness, got up, walked around dazed, and the room was, man, full, but not full. There was 2 or 3 in there, but I couldn't see them. But I knew that they were there. And there's a technique that we use. Damn it. We light a cigarette, and we dump the ashes in an ashtray or in the palm of our hands. After the cigarette is done, you must smoke the whole cigarette. We crush it up and we blow it in the fucking air. And that's when you see them. Now, right around this time, one came walking out the corner, and you could see the footprints in the fucking carpet as it walked right past me and into the hallway. And the boss said, "Do you see that shit? Do you see that shit?" I said, "Man, you all right?" I said, "I'll be back." I lay back down. Went back in the spiritual world. The motherfuckers wanted me out of there so bad, out of that realm so bad, that they told me his name. I didn't even inquire about the demon's name, but they told me his name because they wanted me out. Okay? Now, I got the demon's name, which I won't repeat here. But, no, we ain't gonna repeat it yet. Getting out is much harder than getting in because you're vulnerable, very vulnerable. It takes a good 48 hours to get back into your normal self, and that's with eating a lot of food, drinking a lot of water, to put back all you lost. And even then, you're still vulnerable. But from the scene of the crime, I'm going to show you how strong the spirit world is around this son of a bitch. From the scene of the crime, they had a 2-mile reach, at least a 2-mile reach. I didn't have the same vehicle. I had a different vehicle. Damn near every quarter mile, give or take, I could feel that fucking truck get hit and shake. That's them. Ain't no breeze out there. No, that's angry them. Mad. And every time they hit, it was like knocking the wind out my head. Okay? These didn't come to steal a body. No, these other came with much more. With malice. Okay? Because they were that angry. But once I got 2 miles away, it started easing up. But even after that, for the next 2 days, I had to be careful. I had to be very careful. What I'm trying to say is all this shit is real. It is real. And right now, mankind is under a spell. In fact, it's under competing spells. You're under the our spell. This is why you can hear me on two different levels. You can hear me, the physical me, around the world, but when shit gets serious, then we go spiritual and you hear it a whole different way. That's the spiritual me. Okay? And it don't fuck around. That's just how it is. This is part of being source or seven or one. The source means the source of things. Source is made up of seven spirits. Seven. Okay? Each of these spirits is equal. There is no leader. There is no follower. They're equal, and they're always in perfect agreement. If you were to lay out the seven in a circle, and you placed there would be a space between each one, right? Well, there's one in the middle, and there's a gap where he should be, plus the space. The other six turn around that one at all times. Okay? I'm not telling you nothing that Satan don't already know, or that the angels don't already know. Okay? Hence the word or the name source, seven, one, because the one is the seven and it is the source of things. Okay? This is an ugly ass world. Ugly, but anyway, you want to compete in spells. Here are the two spells, maybe three. Number one, the first spell is, I know that I'm gonna listen. People, just take a break, and the things inside of you, just take a break and hear me out, because this shit is said without malice, and everybody that ought to know. So don't act like I'm about to say some shocking shit when it ain't really shocking at all. In other words, don't make nothing out of something. Okay, with that bullshit. But anyway, first spell. You have the spiritual world. The spiritual world can always wants to experience the physical world. When they come into being, normally what they remember the most is sex, food, and shiny stuff. When I say shiny stuff, shit that they want. It could be anything. New cars, dope, a fine woman, nice sneakers. It's just fucking shiny stuff. Okay? That's the one spell. That spell operates on one level. Okay? The second spell is the spell of man Satan himself. These are all of the curses that Satan himself is engaged in. Those are obvious. And the third spell is ours, because while they can spiritually control a vessel, they can't stop me from coming in or out at will of the same vessel. That's why every mind hears me, because they don't have full control like that. They don't have full control like that. Okay? Now, moving forward to 2023, I started to get my life back somewhat. It had been back. They had long ago found out that I was dangerous. They found out I was dangerous during Hurricane Harvey. I told them 60 inches of rain. I told them before it happened. And we brought them 60 inches of rain. I think that's when they knew. Right about there. But they didn't want to believe it. So it was repeated at some other point. But that's not the point. Here's the point. There's nothing that can be done about what's going on. Okay? There's nothing that can be done about what's going on. It's war. It is war. And while the spiritual world, there was a time that it was open battle. Okay? And then the spiritual world said to me, they said that we have a right to exist. And then I had to think about it. That same night that this occurred, and me fighting off spiritual attacks, something real strange happened. I was attacked again, but it was different. This time, which was weird, and it hit like a feather. Like a feather. And as it hit, I could hear a voice say, a malevolent voice, like of Satan, another spirit saying, oh, that one's only 9 years old. And I remember thinking, 9 years old? How did she get where you are at 9 years old? I don't remember these rules. Because where you are is not a good place. That's why you don't like to be there. Secondly, there are reptilians. There are other things here besides us. They come from somewhere else. They have no right or no claim to be here whatsoever. We hunt them. So when the voice of source speaks, it is heard around the world in every language. That's the weird thing. They can hear me like I'm speaking English. They can hear me in Italian, Spanish, Hebrew, you name it. I mean, Polish, French, is translated Russian into their language. We control the frequencies and all vibrations, which is what everything is based on. Frequency and vibration. Okay? So he who controls that pretty much controls everything. There are things to come. There are things to come. Number, I do have a dark side. And I like it. I like it. But it's necessary. It is necessary when you're at war. And you're at war. Everybody is, whether they want to be at war or not. Not only that, you're under attack on a daily basis, every day. And you're under a spell. You don't have to worry about our spell. Our spell is simply meant to counter those other spells. See? They're meant to counter those. Nothing more than that. Just remember, you're at war. And whatever war shape, war that comes. I don't come here alone. I don't come here unarmed. I take part in destroying shit with people in it. Lots and lots. Okay? And death has no meaning for me. It did thousands and thousands of years ago. Now, death has no meaning. Death doesn't apply to me. Okay? Death doesn't apply to me. It applies to mere mortals. Mortals that we sometimes call Enos. Enos translates into see? Enos translates to those who speak through holes in their head. It's meant to be an insult to mankind amongst the angels. In other words, they're saying that the entire species is basic. It's basic. Enjoy the rest of your night. Oh, I thought there was a call.